Good morning and welcome to Daily Game Design. I it's actually kind of crazy. Much. Oh, wait a second. Huh. Um, Kind of a crazy morning, and a lot of communicating happening. A lot of like reaching out to different people. Um, uh, Hang on. Sorry, I wonder if it's when I use my phone that things kind of get weird. But somebody's texting me about emailing publishers to try to get games. Um, Here, let me just open my text over here. So anyway, kind of a wild morning. Last night we had a connect group where my friend Inosi just like asked some, she had some discussion questions for us. Hmm. Yeah, 1 second. So anyway, the discussion was about like describe your closeness, your sense of your relationship with God. How does your relationship with God affect your relationship with other people? And then we had a challenge. The challenge was to read some portion of the Bible in the morning. Um, okay, so this morning I did the challenge, did a little reading. I went to Zechariah. Zechariah was was a book that came up at Connect Group on Monday. Hey, Francisco. Welcome, welcome. And I hadn't really read anything in Zechariah. Like, I mean, any time that I can think of, I'm sure I will have, sort of passed by it at some point. But anyway, so I read through just chapter 1 this morning. We were also supposed to pick someone to pray for, like some individual. And so spent some time in prayer, and I was just sitting in my apartment and like just looking around, like quiet, listening to the birds, just looking like at everything I have. And I was like just in an intense amount of gratitude, just like sitting there. And it was really cool because the section I read in Zechariah it included a couple of really important ideas, I guess. One was the idea that, like, where God is telling Zechariah to tell the children of Israel, return to me and I'll return to you. I don't love the conditionality there. I don't think that's really what he means. But I think when there is intention to connect with God, there there is activity on his part somehow. I don't know how, I don't know what it is, but that he has that desire to reconnect as well. And it's not something, actually last night we're supposed to describe our relationship with God, and I said long distance. Because I think long distance is a type of relationship. It's positive. It's not necessarily like super intimate or really consistent, but it's there. So I was thinking I have a lot of confidence in God in that he's active in my life. And I don't fear for things. Like I think I'm okay. I know that he's good on his word. Well, that was the second thing. Anyway, so first, return to me and I'll return to you. That's a nice thought, and it was encouraging to me this morning. The other part of that first section of chapter 1 is that he just demonstrates that his promises are good, right? Or at least he claims, he says basically, like, look through your past and just like, I said this stuff was going to happen and it happened. Okay? So there. Like, my promises are good. And I do what I say I'm going to do. And so that was also very encouraging to me. Anyway, as I was just sitting on my couch enjoying the moment, there was a kind of overflow of gratitude, and it just turned into being really grateful for people in my life, for my life situation, even for people like Francisco here. And it really just kind of reduced focus on myself and just kind of it made me think of a few people that I could, hey Seth, that I could reach out to directly and just encourage, like people that came to mind. I know people who've been struggling a little bit, maybe sick, or I don't know, they're just very busy. And so I reached out to a few and sent them some encouragement and stuff. Anyway, it was just really nice. But it ended up consuming like a couple of hours, weirdly. I was also sitting at my table. I had my coffee. I had my game in front of me. So the game I'm going to work on here. And it was just like time passed, and it was really a nice morning. Well, I'm going to have less than an hour to stream because I have meetings with students. But anyway, yeah, I feel good. I'm just happy to be productive today, and happy to be connected with you all here. And yeah. Now, in terms of the game, I feel like I'm continually excited as each really significant, substantial change comes to mind. And the identity keeps shifting. And it's one of those things where I feel like there's a lot of heat right now. Like it's just like I'm in a cooking stage, and the game is still looking for itself. I keep feeling like I'm finding something, and then test something. Okay, it's getting better, getting better, getting better. There's still limitations. There's still issues. But even last night, I wrote out a bunch of ideas. It reminded me of, now that I'm thinking of it, reminds me a little bit of romanticism, and that is I think it's what's his name? What's the poet? Coleridge? Is that it? Yeah, Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Romanticism and the spontaneous overflow of feeling. Let me see if I can find that. I have not thought about this quote in a long time. Romanticism. Spontaneous. It'd be awesome if I actually got this quote right. Spontaneous overflow of powerful feeling, I think is what it is. Let me see. Dispatches from the Secret Library. Oh yeah, spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. I was close. I was closer than I expected to be. But that was his sense of what creativity is about, what poetry is about. And that's like a fundamental idea in romanticism. That type of expression is really meant to just be an overflow of passion, of feelings. So it's not hyper intellectual. It's not rigorously structured. It's just language capturing feeling directly. So anyway, I feel like I had a kind of flow state last night where I was just processing things and writing down notes and kind of seeing pieces fit together. Still some issues, but I was playing through it this morning, and I feel like there was an interesting amount of progress. Anyway, it was just cool. It's kind of like cool to be a part of that. You know what I mean? Like it's almost a spiritual experience, I think, when you hit a flow state and then ideas just keep coming. Doesn't mean they're brilliant, doesn't mean they're perfect solutions for anything, but just when you get in that role, the like that stream, when you step into that stream of like ideation and problem solving, and then you just, what are some good images for it? The pieces come together, the puzzle pieces seem to fit together. I picture, maybe you'll remember Tom Cruise in Minority Report. Actually, Minority Report, after I saw that movie, I think it was very early college or late high school. I think it was early college. And I was working at a summer camp. And and we saw that movie on a day off from summer camp. It's this really small little camp up in upstate New York. We drove into Lake Placid, watched the movie, and after watching that movie, I thought, you know what? I'm open to never watching movies in the theater again. That's only because it has some really surprising, kind of shocking images. It's not horror, but it's definitely like thriller. There's some stuff going on where the guy's trying to solve a murder. I'm almost at that point again, going to print out some protos and see what happens. Heck yeah. That's the way to do it. So, also, I searched for the sixth die, and look what showed up: a mosquito smashed on the ground in its a pool of somebody else's blood. What the heck? What is happening there? All right. So anyway, so there's Minority Report. The images have stuck with me, and it's kind of like I was very uncomfortable like watching that movie. But I always picture Tom Cruise standing at that screen, and he's like moving stuff around and like grabbing stuff and connecting things, and he's like it's this kind of, futuristic manipulation on of objects on a screen. And that's how I feel when I hit that state sometimes, and things are just kind of moving in and integrating, and like kind of flashing around, and it's just a cool feeling. Okay, so I recorded some of the ideas in Discord, and I played through them, and I still had a few realizations this morning. One thing that I keep failing to do is like commit, making sure that all the components reflect moving the surfer is moving in a particular direction. So initially, this was a left turning wave, a left-handed wave, and so you're surfing down this way. And then I thought, well, that's only because Kiwalos is a left. Kiwalos is the surf spot that this was originally inspired by. So then, if I don't like, I feel like actually moving right would be more intuitive for most people, from left to right rather than from right to left. Like, why are we doing that? That's backwards, right? I feel like that will be the intuition of most players. So, which also means that this is backwards. But I wanted to create this one because the cards I printed are designed for moving from, I think they're designed for moving from right to left. Let me double check. Yeah, these are designed for moving from right to left. And the reason I know that is because the best rewards come from moving right. In other words, moving away from the highest value ending locations. This was also an effect of so I've decided to change how turn order works. Not the order itself, but like how often it's reevaluated. So previously it was reevaluated every turn and every column here, every column. So as the player moved down kind of moved with the wave, if they were in this column here, and then they moved left, then we would reevaluate and check this column and see who's in this column. So that player would actually get to move multiple times if they kept moving left. And I think that's a really fun, or kind of interesting / clever thematic mechanic. However, I think it is difficult to understand, and it also creates a problem where a player can just get an advantage, and there's nothing any other players can do about it. So I think for those two reasons, I'm out, as the Sharks would say. For those reasons, I'm out. So it's time to change how turn order works. And what I want to try is players just like you establish the turn out order at the beginning of every, call them rounds. So everybody takes a turn, you reevaluate, and then everybody takes another turn, reevaluate turn order. So that's the idea. What that also means is like marking somewhere. I kind of think this is gone. Like there's no, I don't really like paying to move extra spaces. Instead, I mean, I can delete it for now, but instead, players, it's just like I can just show the legal direction of movement. That's all. So I can actually save some more space here. Right? Because now instead of paying to move what they're doing, or to move extra, what they're doing is they're deciding whether or not to push their luck. So there's no reason to pay victory points for that. On for extra movement on top of paying. I'm sorry, on top of pushing their luck. So that's the thing. So I could put. Can this go now? Also, another thought. Okay, so what makes this mechanic work? That it's actually more difficult to go this direction. Is that I don't know what to do right now. It's that the pips can only go up. What I was thinking about doing was making it so that the pips, you can keep counting up past 6 and come back to 1, but then that makes this whole thing kind of irrelevant. Like it makes the tension completely dissipates. Right? So that's not great. The problem then is like, what do I do with 6s? What do you do with 6s when you're down here? Well, so I think this is gone. I don't think you spend 6s to take another turn. This is now lost dice. So recover with skill card or end of wave. Yeah. So that's better. So the skill cards are becoming so these cards are now becoming points or retrieving dice. So that's what they're up to. There's still like kind of some different levels of benefit. So what I'm thinking is, so I have I have 8 skill cards here, and they are ordered by essentially a kind of cost. Like how many turns it takes you to make that shape. I kind of need to reevaluate because now turn order is different, but I don't really want to spend time on that right now. So what I could do instead is this 8? It is 8. So I think instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift everything up. It'd be nice to have a spacer. Let me think about this. I don't know. Amazon is calling? One sec. Unfortunate. So I think, I don't know what's going on, but like maybe I'm using get signed into some websites that are trouble, or using websites that are a problem, and like mostly for like streaming the Olympics and stuff. I'm not really sure how it's working. Maybe I don't even need to talk about it. But yeah, like my accounts are getting attacked a little more. Like yesterday, where was I? I think something. Somebody in like Indonesia was trying to sign into my Microsoft accounts, like where I do class stuff. I just got a weird call from Amazon. Like, who knows what that is? I got another text from somebody else this morning. So it's just kind of a little bit irritating. Not sure what's going on there. Okay, so I'm thinking to do something like this. So for the benefits, this is what I'm thinking about. So this becomes green. So I'll just make it points. It's points or something. And so for these, I can make it 3 points, let's say. Is this the right? Yeah, that's the right font. It's not the right size. Where? Let me just grab this instead. Okay. Oh man, I should definitely have eaten something before streaming because I'm gonna have to go right into a meeting after this. Maybe I'll grab something while we're here hanging out. Okay, so this is 3 or. I don't know if the benefit should be grab all dice or what. Because like that seems like a lot for a pretty easy shape to make, but actually all of the shapes are more achievable now because the way the turn order works. Like actually it's you know what one difference is though. It's like how much closer to the end is it going to get you? That's the question. Also, does it have the potential to change your turn in your favor? Change turn order in your favor. So maybe I need to just kind of recalculate all of this. I need to recalculate because what this means is what this is based on is the assumption that turn order still includes being able to go again if you're following the contour of the wave. Then you just go again. So it's easier to make the shape because you can go again right away. Actually, now that is not the case. You just take your turn and then your turn is done. So now the relevant or the important ideas have to do with whether or not you get closer to the end, meaning you're moving more efficiently. So there would be a meaningful difference between this shape and this shape. This is inherently slower. This one is inherently slower, right? It's just taking more time to get to the bottom. So it's a higher risk since you need to keep your dice as much as possible. You need to keep your dice with you as much as possible. So it's going to just take longer to get to the end. In other words, it's going to be harder to avoid falling off the wave. This with this shape versus this shape. So this one now should be more valuable than this one. Especially because you don't move off of the column where you started, right? So you're still in the same column. So this one is definitely more achievable and more valuable than these two. So these two should give a bigger benefit. The same is true about these two. So, wait, are we moving? No. Moving. We want to move from left to right. So I need to change how this all works anyway. So this one moves from left to right. So these two are now the most kind of costly to achieve because they effectively move. Oh, wait a second. So these are kind of similar then, right? They're similar, but these get you closer to the high value ending locations, or theoretically high value. This one just gets you closer to the end. So that's why I kind of feel like they're similar. Right? Even though these slow you down slightly, they actually move you into a column where oh, interesting. Let me look how turn order is working right now. Because this now suddenly feels a little bit odd. Because if turn order, I don't have any arrows. Let me grab this turn order thing. So let's think about the difference between establishing turn order by looking from right to left or by looking from left to right. Maybe I should come out here and do it. Okay, so players are moving from. Wait, is this the right one? So this is set up from right to left. I actually need to change. I need to change all of these numbers to go the other way. That's why I just made another copy, is because I needed to. So this is going to go from 4. Right, and then this becomes a 1. It'd be awesome if there's like a super fast way to do this. So then 5s, yeah. So what was kind of cool and incidental about this is that, I mean, especially if the wave is this long and it's configured in exactly this way, what's cool about it is that wherever you sit on the wave and you're going down, right, toward these ending locations, these ending spaces, no matter where you sit, you have 2 numbers that you can roll, no matter where you are, right? So that's great. So it's actually a 1 in 3 chance that pushing your luck will work out for you. So I feel like those odds are pretty good. And then also, but not too good. And also, you have a I don't know how to describe these odds. You also have a chance of making the shape you want. Let's say if the shape you want is in one of these 2 spaces, I have no idea how to calculate these odds, actually, now that the more I'm thinking about it, because you need to roll one of these two numbers, and you also need to roll this number, right? So if your shape is going in this direction, you have a higher chance of hitting it, of getting the shape you want. Because if you roll a 5 and your shape is over here, then too bad, you kind of need to go this way, right? Otherwise you bust and lose a die. So chances are better that you roll, you can roll two numbers and survive, and one of those numbers you actually have a better chance of rolling. I mean, you're more likely to get the shape you want because there are more shapes that end. Am I just talking gibberish right now? There are more shapes that end in one of these two spots than just ending over here. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but it feels like it makes sense. Intuitively, to me, it makes sense, but I would never know how to do the math for that. So that's another reason why this payout, because it's heading in the direction of, this should be a 1. Because it's heading in the direction of a more lucrative ending location, for the most part, and you're more likely, you have a better chance of rolling that number. That's why this payout should not be as good. Does that now make sense? So anytime you go left, especially if it involves push your luck, then that should be a better payout. You intuit a lot, yeah, how to do the math, or if it would be worth it to. Well, I think so. So I've been playtesting. No, I have not. I haven't successfully completed a game, but I'm playtesting the new CGE game, and or I'm like at least in the server and supposed to be testing it. I haven't played with anybody else. I was clicking through to try to learn it, but those people have a pretty insane playtesting force. They also have their own platform to test stuff that works like BGA. And those guys must be super mathy, like ridiculously mathy. So because of the kind of balancing they do, the complexity of the game, and then the treatment they give each card is insane. So I think figuring out how to make things systematic is really, really important with this stuff. I think especially a game like yours that's so big and it's combat based and like, it has to do with like power or like different abilities and effects. Like figuring out how to establish how strong something is, I think is basically essential. And I'm sure you've done something to do that. But then like, how much health should somebody have when they start with this ability? When they earn this ability, like how many dice should they roll? Like there's gotta be a justification for those decisions. I think more concrete than intuition. Or it's better if there's a justification that is more concrete than intuition. So that's why I'm building this like grid and figuring out how to evaluate how much is something worth. That's the challenge. I did that with Sugar Shack too. We had to pick like how much is a worker worth? How much is a cube worth? So to translate that into power, like we decided that baseline is that a cube is a unit of power. One money is a unit of power. One worker is 2 units of power. So then being able to like establishing that becomes more of a spreadsheet game, but it's really important to have a reason, because people are going to be evaluating the game that way already. Especially like the best like min-maxers are going to be able to break down the game in that way. And so if they do, and there's something in your game that's unbalanced, they'll see it right away. They'll see it right away. And they'll say, well, okay, so this is broken, or this needs to be like there's no true choice because this is obviously optimal. It's that kind of thing. Like if we're building Euros, we have to think that way. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. See, I think I'm cool with trial and error too, but like laws of big numbers also like that they basically mean the more that people play, the weirder things are going to happen. And so if we have a framework, in particular we have math to help us build a framework, then when weird situations happen, they're less likely to make the game break down. Law is it the law? Law of big numbers, right? Is that the more events that happen, the more likely weird things are going to happen. So yeah, I think it's really important to move beyond intuition in this case. Okay, so let me try. Let me see how this is gonna work, because turn order is so different now, and also these abilities are basically gone. The law of large numbers says that as the number of trials goes to infinity, the average result closes on an expected result. Okay. Yes, I appreciate that clarification. What? How can I be humbled by that observation and also observe that as the number of events of trials approaches infinity, also outliers are more likely to happen. What kind of law is that? Like every type of event is more likely to happen as that number approaches infinity. Like improbable things are almost what I'm trying to say is improbable events are inevitable or nearly inevitable as the number of trials reaches infinity, approaches infinity. That's what I'm trying to describe. So it's nice, even though our games are not going to be played an infinite number of times, it's still nice to act or to build a system that would allow the game to survive an infinite number of plays. Does that make sense? So that's why when I'm playtesting, yes, this is more of an intuitive approach. But when I'm playtesting, like when I was playtesting this game, what happens? Yeah, got it. It's just not the large numbers. Yeah, the outcomes approach the mean, the expected result. Probably not even right. It would be actually the literal mean, right? Which maybe is what people should expect. But okay, so as I'm playtesting, I was thinking this morning, I have to consider that there is a possible game state where a player rolls sixes for the whole game. So it's super unlikely, but how can I make the game bulletproof to such weird results? It's probably not worth making the game bulletproof in that sense, but because that is a possible game state, however improbable, it'd be nice to come up with with a solution for that player, right? So that's kind of what I'm processing. The literal mean is the average. The expected result is the term defined in probability. Is that different? I'm sure. I mean, you're a math guy, so there must be a difference. But in my simple understanding, so you're saying that the expected result, does the expected result equate to the average, or could the expected result ever be anything other than the average in probability? Anyway, this is wow. This is very fun and educational right now for me. Maybe less fun for you. How about that? They can be interchanged in many, but not all cases. Okay. You're probably thinking it like there's probably some super weird like what are those called? Finding the place where the law of big numbers doesn't go past the law of diminishing returns. Yeah. Okay. I don't. That sounds impressive, Francisco. Whatever you just said. I don't know what that means. Okay, the law of diminishing returns. I guess I know what you mean. Like, how much time is it worth spending on this, right? Like, we could design out a whole lot of things that are very unlikely to happen and spend years doing it, and that would be a waste, right? Certainly diminishing returns. Probability is looking at an event before it happens. Statistics is looking at it after. Okay. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out how to evaluate the relative value of these shapes now. And it's assuming we're moving from left to right. Okay, here's a big difference, and it's going to be an annoying thing to try to think about. So, understanding that it is easier and more valuable to move right, because we want them to start on the left and move to the right. They don't have to, but it's going to be easier that way and more valuable. So in probability, what is the expected result of rolling a d6 3.5 if you roll 2d6 and get 4 and 6? Statistics says that your average mean is 5. Oh, okay. So it's descriptive statistics, just like reporting. It has nothing to do with how likely it was. It just counts what happened. Yeah, I got you. At least I think I do. So the expected value is different than the mean. Yeah, I got you. You know what's funny is first of all I have 7 minutes left until I have to meet with a student, so I am going to transition away. I'm feeling a lot of momentum here. Unfortunately, I wish I could just skip this meeting. But I never took a math class since high school, and I felt like in those classes, the late classes in high school for me were physics, and there was, of course, whatever my junior year was, it was some weird algebra stuff. I got completely lost, felt overwhelmed, and stupid. And in grad school, I took statistics, so some like pretty basic research um, related statistics. So some of it was like descriptive stuff. I won't remember at all the terms, but like how you mathematically like sort people and then like check like look for intersections. I really don't remember whatever that stuff is, but I started being able to picture what was happening in the math, and it felt very different. And like statistics somehow it started feeling more intuitive than anything that I had taken way back in high school. So it was actually pretty cool to like kind of rebuild some confidence with math. I still don't have much, but I feel like I can make better guesses sometimes now because I have a little bit more of a concrete understanding of what's happening. Um, wow, I haven't thought about that in a long time. Like I should really be able to remember that term for like sorting. I remember there was a whole lot of there's a whole lot of square roots happening. So I don't know why. But anyway, thanks for hanging out, guys. I'm going to go have a quick snack, and then I've got Zoom calls for like a few hours here. Always good chatting with you. Best of luck today. Be productive. Be kind. Dang, I was bummed I missed you guys, Seth, Tuesday night. But thanks very much. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye for now.